Okay, so let's look at the we do. So the first question says, a pet store owner will order dog beds for his shop. The relationship between X, the number of boxes he will order, and Y, the number of dogs beds he will receive, can be represented by the equation Y equals 12X. Which table contains only values that represent this equation? So if you guys remember, Y equals 12X, that means to multiply. Okay, normally when they don't have an operation symbol, it means to multiply. So in this case, we're going to multiply 12 by X. So in this case, this is my X, these are X's, these are X's, and these are X's. So I'm going to check this to make sure that the values are correct. So for example, for A, it says 3, so I'm going to multiply 12 times 3. That gives me 36, so that's correct. Let's check the next one. 12 times 6. That's 72, so that's correct. 12 times 9. 108, that's correct. 12 times 15. 180, so that's correct. So let's check a few more just to make sure they're not correct. So let's check B. So for B, we have 12 times 2, which should be 24 here. It says 14, so I know this is incorrect. So I can go ahead and get rid of B. So for C, we have 3. So let's check 12 times 3. That's 36, so that's correct. Let's check one more. 12 times 6. 72, okay. Let's keep going. 12 times 9. 108, that is correct. 12 times 15 is not 144, so that is incorrect. Let's check the next one. Let's check D. So we have 2, so let's multiply 12 times 2. 24, okay. 12 times 6, that's 72, so not 36, so this is incorrect. So the only one that has values that represent this equation is A. Okay, so let's look at the next problem. It says the equation Y equals 1 5/10 times X can be used to determine Y, the number of cups of water needed to cook X cups of rice. Which table shows the relationship between X and Y? So we're going to check these values to make sure that they are equal to the correct equation. So remember, in this case, Y equals 1 5/10 X. That means we're going to multiply. So we're going to take all our X's, so this entire row, and multiply by 1 5/10 to see if these values match up. So let's start with 9. So we have 1 5/10 times 9. So 1 5/10 times 9. So 5 times 9 is 45. That's plus 4. So 9 times 1 plus 4 is 13. And we have one number behind our place value or our decimal, so we have to bring that forward. And so this becomes 13 5/10, so that's correct. Okay, let's check one more. Let's check 11. 1 5/10 times 11. So we have 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. We're done with that one. Let's check the next value. 1 times 5 is 5. But before I do that, I'm going to put my 0 here. 1 times 5, 5. 1 times 1, 1. So now I'm going to take these values and add them up. So 5, 6, and 1. Remember, you have one number behind your decimal. So in this case, 11 times 1 5/10 is 16 5/10. So that is correct, okay? Let's check the next one, 13. So 1 5/10 times 13. So 3 times 5, 15. Carry my 1, so that's plus 1. 3 times 1 plus 1 is 4. And in my next row, I'm going to put the 0. Start with 1 times 5, 5. 1 times 1, 1. Remember to go ahead and add your numbers here. So I have 195, but remember I have one number behind my decimal. So 19 5/10, so that's correct here, okay? And then I see that I have 15 times 15, so let's go ahead and multiply that. Alright, so now I'm going to multiply 15 and 1 5/10. Alright, so I'll start with 5. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 2 is 7. So I start in my next row. Remember to put your 0 there as your placeholder. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. And remember to add those. I have 5 here, 12 here, and that becomes a 2. Now you have one number behind my decimal, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that decimal in. So it's 22 and 5/10. So I see that this is correct. Okay? Alright, so let's go ahead and check to make sure that these numbers match up with our next one. So, because right now A could be the answer, but let's check another one. Okay, so for B, you see that the first X is 10. So let's go ahead and multiply 1 and 5/10 times 10. Okay, so I have my first value as 0. So 0 times 5 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. So then I'm just going to go ahead and start with my next row. Remember to place your 0 here. 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, so then I'm going to add those. So I have 0, 5, and 1. But you have one place value behind your decimal. So in this case, 1 and 5/10 times 10 should be 15. I notice here for B, it says 11 and 5/10. So this is incorrect. So I know B is not the correct answer. So let's look at C. So for C, first X we have is 13. So 13 times 1 and 5/10. Now if you notice, we have that up here as well. So those values are correct. So we know that this one matches up with A. So 13 and times 1 and 5/10 is 19 and 5/10. So that's correct. Now we also see that we had 15 up here earlier, and we had 22 and 5/10. So in our table here, it doesn't match up anymore. So this is incorrect. So I know that C is not the correct answer. Okay? Alright, so let's check D just to make sure. So we have our first X as 14. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply 1 and 5/10 times 14. Okay? And I'm going to start in my ones place. So 5 times 4 is 20. Carry the 2, so that's plus 2. 1 times 4 plus 2 is 6. And then I'm going to start with my next row because I'm done with 4. So put your 0 here. We'll start with the next one. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1. Remember to add your values here. So in this case, I have one number behind my decimal, so I got to bring that in, so it's 21. So 16 times 1 and 5/10 should be 21. Here it says 16 and 5/10, so this is incorrect. So I know D is not correct. So A is the correct answer.